Hey family, welcome to the Family Meeple. I'm Raymond, and this is the unboxing of Cthulhu Death May Die, Seasons 3 and 4, Fear of the Unknown. Hey family, okay, so this is Season 4 expansion. So beyond the core box, we'll just have a quick sneaky peek at the glorious artwork as always. Around the box, of course, in typical fashion, you can stack it on your shelf one way or the other. So, Season 4 expansion by Rob Davio and Eric M. Lang and Marco Portugal. So let us dig into Be it high in the sky, in the depths of the Nile, inside an ancient pyramid, or even on other worlds, the Elder Ones will be there, waiting, and will soon follow. Okay, so Season 4 expands the action of Cthulhu Death May Die and Fear of the Unknown, bringing the madness to places yet unexplored. Featured inside are 6 new investigators and 6 new episodes, introducing nightmarish creatures and brand new horrors from this and other worlds. Not only are there new monsters for players to face, but the new Elder One, Nyarlathotep, comes with new and challenging abilities. Will you survive the fight against the Haunter in the dark? The episodes of Season 4 take you to distant lands, from the sands of Egypt and through a portal to different dimensions. From high above the clouds inside a zeppelin to the horror-stricken village of Dunwich. Cultists are ever more resourceful, inching closer to fulfilling their goals of summoning an ancient into our reality. Excellent. And again, of course, we have the multilingual aspect here, so it does mean we will have a little sleeve on the inside, so it's just making it a bit tricky for me to find a good edge to cut into. There we go. Of course, don't want to catch the box, and you can just see the the insert flaking away there as I'm cutting into that, and that's fine by me. Okay, so here of course is our insert. Otherwise everything is in English and American. Okay. So, and we do have, and this was an oddity to me, this taped onto the box. Just see if I can remove without damaging the thing. That will suffice. Come on. There we go. Okay. And less bothered about this little sleeve, but yeah, I'm not quite sure why they're not in the box itself. There we go. Okay, so what have we got? Slide that up. We have, of course, the Season 4 rules. Don't want to come down. It's a very big box, and then this rule box is a little bit smaller. Okay, so these are expansion rules. So we have Nyarlathotep and the main beast and his alternative human form. We have the unknown rules. So if you did pick this box up separately, then it's how to utilize those. Of course, this will be just with the cards for the monsters in this box. So this will be 7 unknown monster cards. And it does confirm here, of course, a Death May Die core box is needed to enjoy this expansion. So either Fear of the Unknown or, of course, the original Death May Die. We do get some new relics as well, which is good. Insanity card clarifications and some episode lore. So, of course, we do get the 6 episodes, albeit 1 additional Elder one. Okay, and again, the rules summary on the back. Let's dig into the tiles. In fact, before I do that, just show you, interestingly enough, you do get another sidebar. So obviously you could potentially pick up this box at retail in addition to the original core box Death May Die, and gain the contents out of here, and so therefore you would need this to play those additional unknown monster cards. So let's dig into the locations. I feel like we should almost have some, you know. I remember growing up as a kid, we used to watch, what's it called? Heartbeat? Was it Heartbeat? With Tony Hart. I believe was his name. And he used to have every week a gallery scene, and he'd have some music playing in the background as he'd scroll through various pictures that have been sent in for the gallery, and I feel like it's almost kind of what we need here, just in the background. Anyway, let's have a look and get these under the green screen and get a better look at these. Here we go. And again, continuing to follow that focus on ease of differentiation when you have got those different rooms. And again, generally when it was different rooms, it wasn't an issue. We'll see if we do get a scenario in here where there are different locations. It's a very dark room here, some kind of armory perhaps, a hallway coming in through here, one exit over there, a main mansion, again just the one entrance and exit, and we have some tokens. So flip those over, they're the same on each side, there's no difference there. We have the front of a boat, just the one entrance and exit. Nice. We have so here we go. So this is the kind of scenario I was talking about, where you've got here these 2 arrows indicating this delineation between these 2 areas on this one board, and it can sometimes be easy to miss that information. So yeah, I mean, for me, I put doors down on the board. I've got a set of doors that I got from a game called AutoQuest. Really nice doors. Got an extra set of those, and I use those when I'm playing Cthulhu Death May Die, and it just helps to iron out that confusion as part of the setup and just help make sure that yeah, and again here as well, so you see this has got to, I mean, it's kind of, you know, differentiated here as with the black on the edges, more so I think it's slightly more obvious there than it is on this location. So yes, just again, it's just something to be aware of. Did notice it in the originals, and does look like there is an element of that with this one too. So let's have a look. So we've got another one, very similar room to the one we were just looking at before, but the others are all different. So one long hallway with, wow, lots of exits and entrances. A nice big, is that like a study area? Possibly some contraption things going off here, maybe a science area. Moving into, and again here, so again it's easier recognized in here, in this particular tile, that these are 2 different zones due to the black bar. That helps a lot, but yeah, it's one's similar, I guess, like that. So here, for example, you might at a glance look at that and think that might be 2 zones, but it's not. It's just the one zone. It's just a step up to this sarcophagus, and another little pit trap there. And if we flip those over, really getting into that Egyptian theme, obviously mentioned on the blurb on the back that we've read. Got a trophy room, various animal heads around, and 3 exits off of that. We got a Children of the Cornfield with a scarecrow in. Just a one way in, one way out. Got a pathway through a field or a bunch of trees, a bit of forest. And again, this one, although it's one tile, nicely delineated, so you can very easily tell the difference between those 2 areas. And as you can see, these locations are keen to pop straight out and get to the table, which is good. Never have any issues with these tiles sort of tearing on the edges or anything like that when I'm popping them out. Come out beautifully well, very nicely punched. Again, here 2 areas, but nicely delineated. Storage area. Got some more tokens. I'm sure we'll find out what those are used for. Messing with your brain. Clearly there. Oh, it's a nice little pond. More on the Egyptian landscape, and then a great big open space. Is that set out for tables? Looks like, perhaps tables and chairs. And when we flip this over, we've got a nice garden courtyard. Again, that area divided. Got some stairwells. Got the same on the flip side of those tokens. And then the cornfield track leading up. And then a pit of some sort would propose. Again, different areas. In fact, here and here and here. So yeah, quite got to watch for those for sure. And then the garden with flower beds. Nice. And the final tile. So again, we've got these on the basis that you might pick up this expansion without Season 3. So pretty of those tokens there. Got a very nice sarcophagus area. Got something of a waiting room, maybe, going on here. We've got a bit of is that like a bathroom, a kitchen? Kitchen, a fridge, a little dining table, a sink. Just like an observatory, perhaps, and some sticks of dynamite. If I flip that around there, does that look like a, oh, that maybe the bow of a ship, perhaps? You've got like a wheel. Ah, this will be the Zeppelin, one would assume. And we'll flip that over whilst we have it this way up. Very pretty window letting in a stream of light. Somebody's attic, perhaps. Those same tokens on this side, and a bit of a musty stairwell leading perhaps to said attic. Perhaps feels like a similar vibe. We've got a bit of a garden greenhouse, perhaps, maybe, going on here. A nice hallway. And again, those same tokens on the flip side as we saw with Season 3 box. So they are the tiles that come. I'm going to pop. It is so big. I've just seen. So as I've popped these tiles off and I've just removed the investigators, look at the size of this box for the Nyarlathotep. No wonder there's only one elder one in here. You can't fit any more in this box. Wow. Okay. Wowzers. Right. So let us dig into Let's dig into the patient medical files. Of course, these are the mental conditions that start the game with for your investigators. So we have the mental health condition of uncontrollable fear. While you have the frightened token, you cannot run. Discard it when you rest or when you draw the mythos card for your turn. And if there are any enemies in your space, gain the frightened token and move to the nearest space with no enemies. Enemies do not follow. At least they don't follow you, eh? Okay. Right. So this is the hyperactivity. Whilst you have a hyperactive token, you have one extra action and you cannot rest. Discard it when you draw the mythos card for your turn, and then gain the hyperactive token and take 2 stress when you gain a 1 on your insanity track, which triggers these. So shared psychosis. Resolve the insanity of the nearest investigator within 2 spaces as if it were yours. And if there are no investigators within 2 spaces, take 2 stress. And then finally, dissociative identity. Of course, okay. So at the start of the game, take 2 unused insanity cards. Randomly choose one of them to be active and place it next to this one. Okay. The other is dormant. Effects from both, except for symptoms, are always in play. Okay, so when you trigger your insanity, perform your active insanity symptoms, then swap your active and dormant insanities. So yeah, so you'll be suffering multiple insanities, but they'll rotate throughout the game as you play your investigator. Very good. So we have some more unknown behavior cards. Now, I would assume that these will be the same as what we've already seen in Season 3, and therefore we would not want to include these additionally in with the other cards. Although you could do, and that would, of course, potentially mean you get more interactions from the unknown enemies. So that's a thing. Okay, let us dig into the 6 episodes that come with this expansion. And that will, of course, lead us nicely into a great understanding of some of the new baddies and monsters, enemies that we get in this season. Okay, so Season 4, Episode 1 is The Horror in the Sky. Okay, what is that? Oh, giant white spider-like thing. Ugh. Horror in the Sky. Cultists hijacking a Zeppelin. Unusual to say the least, and more nefarious than we imagined. But this is not merely some ritual for increasing their might. They intend to open a rift to the dreamlands and sail the Zeppelin straight through. Sail the Zeppelin straight through. We're beset now by both cultists and passengers, some of whom are undergoing horrific transformations. Okay, so let's see the contents of this episode. Those aside. Okay, so as we will start with our graphics card. So on the flip side, of course, we have our monsters. So this is the Man of Fleng. No, Leng. The man of Leng. So rolls 2 black dice, so can cause insanity. When attacking or attacked, the investigator must take 2 stress instead of 1 to reroll dice. Okay, it's only 2 health, adds 5 to the pool. And then we have the Spider of Leng. So this was the great big white spider that we saw in the corner there. So 3 black dice with 3 life, and when attacking or attacked, dice with Insanities cannot be re-rolled. Ooh, that hurts. And as you would expect with an atrocity like that facing you, let's be fair. Okay, so let's have a look. So we know the scenario that we're dealing with story-wise. Let's have a look. How do we disrupt the ritual? Have both spaces with hijackers under control simultaneously at the end of any action. To have a space under control, that space must be safe and have 4 or more passengers and or crew companions. When the Elder One advances, transform 1 agitated passenger in your space into a man of Leng. Then turn over each passenger in your space to the agitated side. Okay. And then special rules are: when an effect transforms a passenger, if there's a monster of that type available to be summoned, remove the passenger token from the board and summon the monster in the same space. So our special actions for this game, for this episode, are Persuade. Choose a passenger in your space and make a roll. Gain a green if it's a calm passenger. Move that passenger a number of spaces to the number of according to the number of successes. And then calm down. Turn over each passenger in your space to the calm side. So you want them to be calm. And this is the map layout across 2 layers here. We have hijacker tokens and passenger tokens, 12 of those with agitated side and calm sides. We'll be starting with 5 cultists out on the board, and of course 1 Spider of Leng and 2 Man of Leng, and we're using all 3 gates, and of course we've got the stairs between the 2 layers. So we've got this layer here and this layer here. Okay, so that's how that will play. Let's have a look at the tokens then. So here we go. So these are the agitated peoples, and of course the hijackers, 3 of in one area. The calm people sitting down nice and calm, and we've got, oh, there we go, and we've got 2 of those exact same tile sets. There we go, sorry, that fully in screen. So we've got 2 of those. Okay, that represents our passengers and our hijackers. So let's dig into the mythos cards so we get an understanding of what we're going to be facing off against as we play through this episode. Try and break into the pack. There we go. Okay. So, hooves and horns. Each Man of Leng moves 2 spaces towards you. Transform 1 agitated passenger in your space into a Man of Leng. So you do not want to have agitated passengers. Man of Leng. The nearest Man of Leng moves 2 spaces towards you. If there's an agitated passenger in your space, it moves directly to your space instead. And then summon Man of Leng, the red portal. Spider of Leng. Each Spider of Leng moves 2 spaces towards you. Then each agitated passenger in a space with a Spider of Leng moves 1 space towards the starting space. Okay, and then summon a Spider of Leng. Agitated travellers. You could take 1 stress for each agitated passenger in your space, and then summon a Man of Leng. Spread hysteria. Each cultist moves 2 spaces towards their nearest space with hijackers, and then each agitated passenger in a space with a cultist moves 1 space towards the starting space. We have monsters within. Transform the nearest agitated passenger into a spider of Leng. Wow, okay. Turbulence. Each investigator takes 1 stress. Investigators with aerophobia take 1 wound if they cannot take 1 stress. Each agitated passenger in a space with hijackers moves 1 space towards the starting space. Then turn each calm passenger on the board of their agitated side. And then finally, into the Dreamlands. Transform 1 agitated passenger in your space into a man of Leng. And if you have any crew companions, discard 1 crew and summon 1 spider of Leng in your space. So lots of dudes being transformed. I'm just going to have a moment to see if I can find, seeing as we've just covered off all these wonderful spider of Leng and men of Leng, and in fact they are just on top here. So let's have a look at the delights that they will bring to our tabletop. Rid of that nasty tape. Okay, so we'll have a good butchers at these. All 1 piece. Oop, there we go. Got in there. So that's of course our man of Leng. Trying to think, is it Mr. Tumble? Trying to think, it looks a bit trying to think what it was called. Not an imp. Satire. Looks a bit satire-ish. Yeah, and it has its hooves as well, and of course little horns. So yes, quite satire-ish in its gait and pose and structure. And here is of course the spider Leng. That bit bigger. Fairly nasty piece of work. Its weird hands crawling around a rock formation. So of course we get 2 of the spider of Leng and 5 of the men of Leng, as you would expect from what we were reading on those cards. Definitely much more interaction from those men of Leng. Okay, or is it still man of Leng if it's only plural? I'm guessing it's men. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Okay, there were many man of Leng. Doesn't sound right, does it? Right, let's have a look at a couple of the discovery cards, and as I did with looking at season 3, I won't go in full detail of all of the discovery cards, just because there tends to be a bit of a hidden story and that gets unveiled as you go through and explore and uncover the discoveries, and there's always a bit of a twist, and I find the sense of humour very amusing on these, so I do not want to spoil that. There we go. So let's have a look at a couple of them. So flight attendant, not much use in a fight, but she knows the airship through and through. You may take 1 stress to claim the safety instruction card, or you can take 2 stress to claim the flight attendant. So Linda is the flight attendant's name, and whilst you have her, gain 1 level of stealth. Nice, so she'll help you sneak around. And if you are in a space with hijackers, add 1 to the passenger count in that space. Alternatively, you take the safety instructions card, because maybe you've only got 1 stress to be able to give. Passengers in your space are always considered calm. Nice, even if they're on their agitated side. Okay, so that's what they bring for you. And let's have a look at one of the characters that does carry the aerophobia. So the cook, a culinary artist and finder of arcane regents or reagents. You may take 2 stress to claim the cook, and if you do not claim the cook, then you must claim aerophobia condition. So Robert the cook, whilst you have him, gain 1 level of arcane mastery, and if you're in a space with hijackers, you get to add 1 to the passenger count in that space. Otherwise, you take aerophobia, and at the end of your turn, you take a stress, because of course you're in the air. So that's it, folks. That's a sneaky peek of what to expect in this episode. Way up in the sky, a Zeppelin, and you've got a glimpse now of course, the enemies that will feature in that episode. Pop those back away. Maybe. Good. Why is it not going away? There we go. Thank you. Wonders of tuck boxes, folks. Wonders of tuck boxes. Okay, episode 1. We are moving on to episode 2, which is the Haunted Garden. Season 4, episode 2. So, our story is people are vanishing from this small hamlet. The villagers speak in hushed whispers of a botanist's ghost and that haunts the overgrown garden in his villa. But you know the truth. It's another cult ritual. This one requiring more than its share of human souls. There are relics hidden in the garden that could easily thwart this plan. But first, one must contend with the vastly overgrown brambles. Okay, so let's have a look at the contents of this episode. Oh, I can't get it out. It's too big. There's too much in here. Here we go. That's it. It's a lot. Okay, wow. Lots of tokens. Of course, our statutory cards. So, we have our glorious artwork cards for our monsters, which are featuring this time the albino penguin, and that got a lot of cheer and attention on the Kickstarter, and the ancient one. Yeah, people were very excited about having the inclusion of the albino penguin in their sets. So let's have a look at these. So we have 2 dice for the albino penguin with 4 life, adds 2 to the unknown monster pool. And when wounded by an attack, it deals wounds to the attacker equal to the number of insanity rolled in the attack. And we have the ancient one, rolling 4 dice, ouch, with 5 life. Adds 1 to the pool, and it can only be attacked if it is within 1 space of a gate. So you do need it to be near those gates when attacking. So we know the story. A garden. Let's have a look at how we disrupt this ritual. Find the 3 idols and place each one of them in the different altar. Okay, so that's how we disrupt the ritual. When the elder one advances, each investigator rolls 1 black die for each bramble token in their space. They take 1 wound for each success and lose 1 sanity for each tentacle. Special rules. Idle tokens may be traded, and if an investigator or enemy dies, drop any idle tokens they have in their space with the bramble side face up. Then shuffle all bramble tokens there. Okay. So, actions for this episode are to destroy brambles, make a roll. For each success, turn over a bramble token in your space, pick up any idol revealed, discard any phantasmal claws, and destroyed brambles. Excuse me. You take 1 stress or 1 wound if you cannot take the stress for each phantasmal claw discarded this way. And position the idol on the altar. The other actions: place an idol that you are carrying on an empty altar in your space. Excuse me. I don't know what is going on. Okay, so here's our layout. We have a first floor and a second floor, divided by stairs. And we've got 2 sets of stairs. Did I see 2 sets of stairs tokens? We have an extra set of stairs tokens specifically for this episode. Nice. Of course, we have all 3 gates. We have 21 brambles that are all shuffled together. 7 shuffled face down. 1 idol among the 7 of each floor. Wow. So 1 in 7. Woo! Harsh. So let's have a look at those brambles. There are the brambles tokens we get. Apologies, of course, they're all green, as you would expect, because they're brambles. And on their flip side, these in fact are all broken brambles. And then we have more brambles and that extra set of stairs that I mentioned. And here we go. There are the 3 idols, and 6 of which are claws and stairs. Okay. And then these are representative of the altars that we'll be putting those idols on in order to disrupt the ritual. So let's have a look at the Mythos cards to see what we can expect to be hurled at us in this game. If I can find an edge that will help me to actually break in. Oop. And we're in. Okay. So, with us cards, then we have our albino penguin. So each albino penguin moves 2 spaces towards you, and if you have an idol, the nearest one moves directly to your space, and then summon an albino penguin in the red portal. Pesky birds! Each albino penguin moves 2 spaces towards the nearest bramble, if none, towards you instead. And then for each penguin, reveal a bramble from its space, if any. If it's an idol, the albino penguin takes it, otherwise discard it. And then summon an albino penguin in the blue portal. We have Ancient One. The Ancient One moves 2 spaces towards you, then each investigator in its space loses 2 sanity. Wow. And then summon an Ancient One. We have Ancient Menace. The Ancient One moves 2 spaces towards you, and each investigator in its space takes 1 stress, and then summon an Ancient One. We have each investigator carrying an idol and or with an altar in its space loses 2 sanity. This is corrupted idols. Evil brambles. You roll 1 black die for each bramble token in your space. Take 1 wound for each success and lose 1 sanity for each tentacle rolled. Okay. Phantasmal presence. If you have any idol, place it along 1 discarded phantasmal claw, if any, with their bramble side face up in your space. Then shuffle all bramble tokens in your space. Otherwise, take 1 stress or 1 wound if you cannot take a stress. And finally, bush ambush. if there's any albino penguin available, summon 1 on the nearest space with a bramble token. Otherwise, summon 1 cultist at the nearest space with a bramble token instead. So, lots of brambles, lots of tokens, lots of cultists. And again, we'll have a look at a couple of the discovery cards because, as I say, everything seems very straightforward. What's happening here at the where the heck are we? Someone's garden in this villa that's haunted. Things are never quite what they seem. So we have an item that we could potentially gain, some mushrooms. And who doesn't like mushrooms? Sorry, that's not my personal opinion. I like them with my steak. Normal mushrooms, of course. Fungi that feeds on plants. Convenient for dealing with thorny situations. Okay, so you may take 2 stress to claim the mushrooms, and if you cannot, then you must take the poisoned condition. That doesn't sound good. Mushrooms. When you destroy brambles, instead of discarding destroyed bramble tokens, you may place them on this card. On any roll, you may discard this card or a bramble token on this card to count any number of elder signs or successes, as a success and a sanity. For the poison condition, at the end of your turn, roll 1 black die. Take 1 wound if you roll a success, and lose 1 sanity if you roll a tentacle. Let's have a look, see if we've got something else that's not an item. This is almost all items. Let's have yeah, I love this. The grizzly bear, a fearsome companion that knows friend from foe. Good thing. If you have the eagle or the raccoon, you must discard them. You may take 2 stress and 2 wounds to claim the bear. Ouch. While you have the bear, gain 1 level of toughness and 1 level of brawling, and it comes with 3 health. Very nice, but it hurts a lot. Okay, so I won't dig any further into those. It's a good idea of what we're going to get then in episode 2, and we'll have a look at these penguins and ancient ones. Go. Find these guys. What is that, man? Okay, not there. Oh, we're going to have to dig out this other box of goodies. We'll ignore the investigators for the moment. We will come on to those. Let's get rid of this pesky tape. Yeah. Thanks for that then. If I can. Certainly seeming somewhat troublesome on this side. Okay. It's done. So here we have 2 penguins and an ancient one. There was a sneaky peek of something else we'll cover in one of the other episodes, I'm sure. I do love these. Oh, fantastic. Flipping penguins. Oh, I love it. They are great. So we get 2 of those. And we have, I'll get them out, an ancient one. This will be the front of the ancient one, on the assumption that its wings are on its back. And it's, yeah, in fact, there we go. So you can see there is its eyes, and it is very much a squid-like being, but with wings. Very good. Do you like that? Excellent. Okay, so that covers those. We are on to episode 3. So, episode 3, Fields of Hell. Wow. Okay. So, outside Dunwich, that festering hive of occult activity, The farmers have found a means to ensure a bountiful harvest. Human sacrifice. Some unfortunate tourist suffered a broken down bus in the vicinity, and these twisted growers have caged them all, ready to burn them in the necessary rituals. Okay. So okay, so let's have a look and see what we get with this episode. Tokens and our cards. So, of course, we have our monsters card. Ooh, new monsters, or one of certainly. The Spider of Leng makes a reappearance. We've seen that already. And the new one we have now is the White Polypus thing. 9 health. Ouch. Rolling 4 dice. And when destroyed, each investigator within one space takes 2 stress. Wow. You could feel that one. Okay, so let's find out more about this ritual. So to disrupt the ritual, destroy the 3 cages and place 3 groups of tourists in the truck space. Okay, so you're trying to set these poor innocent people free. When the Elder One advances, resolve the effects of each Scarecrow token in any order that you choose. As special rules, each investigator can only have 1 tourist token at a time. They can't be traded. If an investigator with a tourist token dies, they drop the token in their space. Okay, so actions for this episode. Destroy a cage. If you're not carrying a tourist token, make a roll against a cage in your space. This doesn't count as an attack. Each success deals 1 wound to the cage. Then, if the cage has 4 or more wounds, destroy it and turn it over to the tourist side. It's important clarification that this is not classed as an attack. So any bonuses you would normally have, like brawling in your area or a marksman in an adjacent area, that sort of thing, you cannot use any of those additional abilities from an attack perspective. And then we have guide tourists. Pick up 1 tourist token from your space or from an investigator in your space, or drop 1 tourist token in your space or give it to an investigator. Okay. And here is our map, which of course, as we would expect, would feature out lots of outdoors areas and these scarecrows as we had a flick through before. So we have got tunnels, which enable us to go from here to here. We have 1 white polypus starting on the board and 1 spider of Leng starting on the board with 4 cultists. We have 3 cages and 1 truck. Okay. So let's have a look at those tokens. We have a bunch of scarecrows, all the same on this side, but flip them over. We have different reactions. So each investigator in this space catches 2 fire. For each investigator in this space, summon 1 cultist here. For each investigator in this space, summon 1 spider of Leng here. Each investigator discard 1 animal companion. Each investigator in this space takes 1 wound and then takes 2 stress. So we've got those different effects from those scarecrows. And of course we have our truck token and the cages, which of course then could be freed people. So those are what we have there. Let's have a dig into the Mythos cards, get an idea of what this episode will be throwing at us. Okay, So, we have Spider of Leng. Move the nearest Spider of Leng 2 spaces towards you. Resolve the effects of each Scarecrow mon in spaces it enters. And then summon a Spider of Leng. White Polypus Thing. Move the White Polypus Thing 2 spaces towards you. Investigations in spaces it enters takes 1 stress and lose 1 sanity. And then summon the White Polypus Thing. Bad Moon Rising. If there's a Scarecrow in your space, resolve its effect. Otherwise, lose 1 sanity and take 1 wound. They are alive. Each investigator in a space with Scarecrow rolls 2 black dice. They take 1 wound for each success and lose 1 sanity for each tentacle rolled. Tormented Tourists. Each investigator carrying a tourist token or in a space with a cage or tourist token takes 2 stress. For each stress they cannot take, they take a wound instead. Reinforce the cages. Summon a cultist in each space that has a cage and no cultist. Then remove 1 wound from each cage. Monsters of the Corn. Move the Elder One and each monster 1 space towards you. Wow. And then summon a Spider of Leng and a White Polypus Thing. And Lightning. Place 1 fire token in your space. Take 1 wound unless you have toughness or swiftness. Drop any tourist token that you're carrying in your space. Discard 1 of your animal companions, if any, unless you take 2 stress. And we've not come across the animal companions yet. We have a separate box that addresses those. And again, I'll dig into a couple of the discovery cards featured with this episode. So we have the pig. So remarkably intelligent and faithful porcine companion. Animal companions. Here we go. So this is different to the box. Nice. If you have old Billy, Billy Jr. or Jenny, heal 1 stress. You may take 2 stress to claim the pig, and if you do not, claim the formidophobia condition. Okay? So, picking a pig. Once per turn as a free action, heal 1 stress or wound. Nice. Presumably not because you're eating it as bacon. Comes with 1 life. And formidophobia. At the end of your turn, if you are in the same space as a Scarecrow, resolve its effect. So we have sheep and cow and horses and dogs. And let's have a look at an item. Farming tools. Improvise weapons in the right hands. You may claim the sickle or claim the rake. So the sickle gives you, when attacking, an extra green dice if you have brawling. Otherwise, the rake, you have 1 free reroll when being attacked. So defensive. Cool. So, as you would expect, very much farm story line here. Whoop. Trying to bolster their crops through human sacrifices. Nice. Come on, type boxes. Get in there. Right, so let's see if we can find this Polypus. I believe I did see him in one of the in one of the other boxes. This would be a very chunky white Polypus. Wow. Love that. It is very chunky indeed. Has lots of eyes. Go. our white polypus. Okay, we are on to episode 4. Death on the Nile. Okay, so story is a wealthy American widow and secret investigator has been found dead in her cabin, but tragedy may yet turn to nightmare. Her necklace of black pearls, a powerful artifact able to summon horrific things in the wrong hands, was stolen by cultists who intended to use it on this very ship. We must find their leader, retrieve the artifact, and bring it back to safety. The lights are flickering and time is short. Okay. Oh, let's have a look. Come on. Let's see. It comes in here. Okay, so we'll pop aside the tokens for the moment and begin with, of course, the monsters. So we have more Man of Leng joining the fray on this one, and we have a new monster being a monstrous frog. Wow, that truly is quite a monstrous sight. Comes with 8 health, adds 1 to the unknown monster pool, and when it attacks, if 1 or more elder signs were rolled, double the wound dealt. Oof. Okay, so let's find out more about how we disrupt this ritual. Have a new number of investigators holding the 3 engine blueprints on the engine room at the end of any action. After the ritual is disrupted, remove all lights out tokens from the board, and from now on ignore any effects that would affect these tokens. Okay. When the Elder One advances, the cult leader moves 1 space towards the ship's deck. Unless he is in a space with at least 1 investigator and no lights out token, then if the cult leader is in the ship's deck, investigators lose. Okay, so we've got a very definitive lose condition here. Otherwise, place 1 lights out token in each space with investigator. Special rules then. Investigators can't investigate in lights out spaces because it's dark. Each space can have only 1 lights out token. Remove any excess if there's ever more than 1. And engine blueprint tokens may be traded. If an investigator dies, drop their engine blueprint tokens in their space. Investigators may pick up the blueprint tokens in their space as a free action. So, special actions for this episode. Fix room lights. Lights out space. Make a roll. If you get 2 or more successes, discard the lights out token. Search for blueprints in a safe space. Whilst you're in a safe space with an investigator token and no lights out token, discard the investigate token and draw a discovery card if possible. Okay. And let's have a look at the map and a glimpse of the tokens that we will see. So we've got various tokens here, more tokens here. So these are the lights out, 13 of these with 6 of these off the board. Okay, we have the monstrous frog starting on the board along with 2 Man of Leng and 5 cultists. Wow. Okay, and a cult leader. We've got 7 investigate and the ship's deck and engine room. Okay, and stairs, of course, from the upper and lower decks. So let's have a look at the Mythos cards. Oh, am I in? Not quite. Bomb. There we go. And we're in, almost. We're in. Okay. Okay, so we have Man of Leng. Move the Man of Leng one space towards you, then place a lights out token in each space with a Man of Leng investigator. And summon Man of Leng. We have Fur and Hooves. The nearest Man of Leng moves 2 spaces towards you, and if you're in a lights out space, it moves directly to you instead. And summon a Man of Leng. We have Monstrous Frog. Move the Monstrous Frog 3 spaces towards you, do 1 damage to each figure in spaces it leaves, and then summon a Monstrous Frog if not already out. Whispers in the Dark. Each investigator in a lights out space loses 2 sanity, and then if you're in a lights out space, remove the lights out token and summon a Man of Leng in your space. If there are no lights out tokens on the board, move the nearest Man of Leng 2 spaces towards you. Looking in the Dark. Summon 1 Man of Leng at the nearest lights out space. If you are in a lights out space, summon it there. And then if there are no lights out spaces on the board, summon a Man of Leng at the nearest gate. Alone in the Dark. Each investigator in a lights out space takes 1 stress. They take 1 extra stress if there are no investigators in their space. For each stress, an investigator with nyctophobia condition, so fear of the dark, cannot take, they take 1 wound instead. Lights out, take 2 stress. Then place a lights out token in each space with 1 space of, but within 1 space of you, including your space. So it's a lights out token, okay. And then finally, Electricity Malfunction. Each monster moves 1 space towards you. If you're in lights out space, remove the lights out token and place it in the nearest space without 1. Otherwise, move each lights out token 1 space towards you. Move all tokens before discarding the excess. Okay. Because if you recall, it can only be 1 lights out token per room. Let's have a look at those tokens there. So we have lots of lights out tokens. Same on both sides. And here we have some lights. And I'm guessing this is the cultist leader and the blueprints that we are looking for. Where's my conditions gone? Discoveries! Okay. So here. Get a bit warm in my room. Okay. Okay, so. Death on a Mile. Ooh. Okay. So we've got lots of different things. We've got, in fact, engine blueprints. An engine, a blueprint for a steam engine. Its inner workings laid bare. Discard, and gain a blueprint token. So there are 3 of these in the deck. So these are what the discoveries that we are looking for in order to disrupt the ritual. Otherwise, we have an item being the electric torch. Search for the light, but learn to use darkness in your favor. If you are in the same space as the cult leader, take 1 wound. Otherwise, place a lights out token in your space. You may claim the electric torch. Electric torch may investigate and search for blueprints in lights out spaces. Oh, that's handy, Harry. And then we'll have a look at one of the supporting characters. Captain. A man of action and few choice words. You may take 2 stress to claim him as a companion, but if you do not, you gain the nyctophobia condition. So the captain has 1 health, and while you have him gain 1 level of brawling, otherwise you gain a nyctophobia. When you claim this card, summon 1 Man of Leng in at the nearest lights out space. You cannot rest in lights out spaces. Okay. So let's take a peek at what to expect with those. All those back away. Whoop. Come on. Get in there. Right. So we did, of course, get introduced to a new monster, which will be pesky frog. Look at that beast. I mean, you really wouldn't want to run into that in the dark, would you? Spiky. Wow. Very good. Okay, so that is the frog. We're on to episode 5. And we are now in pyramid territory, of course, Egypt. Pyramid of Fear. Let's have a look. There are many pyramids in Egypt built in ancient times. Some few are constructed atop confluences of mystic power. Such a one is perfect for a cult's most demonic ritual. Yet this place is said to house the staff of Ra, because its light triumphant over the darkness. Okay. Let's see. We have in this episode lots of tokens. Let us start with monsters. We have our new monster being the Sand Dweller. So, comes with 3 dice, only 1 hit point. That adds 5 to the unknown monster pool. And when attacked, if it takes more than 1 wound, the attacker also takes 1 wound. And of course, the white polypus thing that we've seen already. Okay. So let's find out more about this ritual that is happening. So to disrupt the ritual, have an investigator holding the 3 Staff of Ra parts. The staff, the head, and the gem at the pyramid central room at the end of any action. After the ritual is disrupted, the investigator holding the Staff of Ra gains 1 level in their signature skill. Nice. When the Elder One advances, if there is no gem or bag token in the altar, each investigator takes 2 wounds, and then each enemy moves 1 space towards the investigators nearest to them with a Staff of Ra part, if any. Special rules. Treasures and Staff of Ra parts may be traded. If an investigator dies, drop any of their treasures or Staff of Ra parts in their space. When you take the staff gem from the altar using an explore action, you may discard 1 of your treasures to place the treasure bag in the altar. It can't be picked up. If you don't, reveal and resolve a trap. Okay. So, episode actions. Explore. Pick up any number of treasures, Staff of Ra parts, and explore tokens in your space. Explore tokens are resolved and discarded immediately. Solve the puzzle of the room with the plaques. Turn over 1 plaque. If it's the next in the order, keep it face up. Otherwise, turn all face down without shuffling. Then, if all 3 are face up, discard them and gain the staff head. Okay, so we've got a bit of a puzzle that we need to contend with and complete for this episode. Let's have a look at what we have. So we have obviously our starting space down here as we come into the pyramid. We have 3 sarcophagus, sarcophagi. 3 start off the board. We've got the pyramid central room. Here we have the altar, which is here. And of course we have 4 cultists, the polypus thing, and 2 sand dwellers. The staff head, which starts off the board. The staff gem, which starts on the board, on the altar. The treasure bag, which starts off the board as well. Okay. Interesting. So lots of components in this episode, and let's have a look at those. So we have 3. Yep, so we've got the 3 pieces here that we're looking for. We've got traps, and here's the 3 pieces of the Staff of Ra and the treasure bag. Okay. The traps are activate your insanity, summon a cultist in your space, or catch fire. We have, in addition to those, more traps and these, which I can't think off the top of my head what they were. Treasures. There we go. So traps, take 2 stress, take a wound, discard 1 item or companion, and if you can't take 2 stress, discard 1 treasure, and if you can't take 2 stress, summon 1 sand dweller in your spot. Treasures then reduce wounds taken by 1 from any source. Once per turn, before any roll, gain 2 green dice. When you run, you may sneak once, so an enemy doesn't follow you. Once per turn, or as a free action, you may heal 2 stress. And then finally, at the end of your turn, deal 3 wounds to an enemy in your space. Okay. Then we have central room, the altar, sarcophagus. I don't know what these things are. Bit like cameras, perhaps. Reveal and resolve a trap. Lots of those. Okay. Central room, altar, and sarcophagus. Okay. Let's have a look at the mythos cards for this episode. Not quite in yet. Okay. That's it. Okay, mythos cards. We have the Staff of Ra. Move each monster 1 space towards you. If you have any Staff of Ra parts, they move 2 spaces instead. Then summon a white polypus and a sand dweller. We have Sand Dweller. Move the nearest Sand Dweller 2 spaces towards you. If you have any Staff of Ra parts, it moves directly to your space instead, and then summon a Sand Dweller. White Polypus Thing. Move the White Polypus Thing 2 spaces towards you, then each investigator space takes 1 stress. Summon White Polypus. Pitfall Trap. Make a roll and gain a green if you have the swiftness. Discard 1 treasure, item, or companion unless you roll 3 or more success. If you can't, take a wound. Fire trap. Make a roll and gain a green if you have the toughness. Catch 2 fire unless you roll 3 or more success. Lots of traps in here. Ambush trap. Make a roll and gain a green if you have stealth. Summon 1 cultist in your space unless you roll 3 successes. Pharaoh's Curse. Each investigator loses 1 sanity and takes 1 stress for each treasure they have. Summon 1 sand dweller in your space. If you have any Staff of Ra parts, the furthest enemy moves 2 spaces towards you. And we've got 2 of those. That's the first time we've seen that, where they've actually repeated 2 of the cards exactly. Interesting. We'll have a look at a couple of these discovery cards. Okay. So look, so we get the cat statue. So, a noble beast rendered in pure obsidian. You may take 2 stress to claim the cat statue, but if you do not, you gain the cursed condition. The cat statue at the end of your turn lose 1 sanity and heal 2 stress. Okay. But if you take a cursed condition, at the end of your turn, you lose 1 sanity for each treasure you are carrying, or take 1 stress if you are not carrying a treasure. If you rest in the space with the sarcophagus token, you may discard all cursed cards and recover all health and stress. Nice. I'm going to have a look at one more, which is the pyramid map. Every trap marked, the pyramid secrets laid bare. If the sarcophagus token is not on the board, place it on your space. You may claim the pyramid map. When you explore, you may ignore traps, don't reveal one, and gain a green when rolling for a trap mythos card. Nice. Okay, so that is what to expect. Episode 5. And of course, that introduced us to the last of our monsters and enemies. We'll have a look at those, which we already had a bit of a sneaky peek to. Go. We have a number of these. Have it. Quite easily looking things, aren't they? There we go. Okay. Might be a bit of Dobby, I think. Right. Let's put that aside. So then we have our last, but not least, episode 6. The window into the infinite. So, the window into the infinite, an ancient mansion owned by a famous traveller, made rich by his excursions to points unknown. Yet you now suspect the cloudy glass of the globe window as key to his success. It leads to other worlds. Your greater concern, however, are the cultists infesting this vast, sprawling manse. Their hidden ritual room must be uncovered, their plans foiled once and for all. Yep. We'll look at contents in here. Okay, just the one token board. So, our monsters include sand dwellers and the albino penguins, which we've seen before, so we know what they are. And then we have, to disrupt the ritual, any investigator must be on the ritual room at the end of an action. To enter the ritual room, investigators first need to activate the portal to access it. When the Elder One advances, each investigator in the same space as a monolith activates their insanity. Then, each investigator takes 1 stress and loses 1 sanity for each desynchronous condition. Desynchronisis condition, there we go, that they have. Special rules. You may move from a space with one of the portal tokens to a space with matching portal token. Spaces linked like that are considered adjacent for all purposes. So, special actions, decipher glyphs, safe space. Whilst in a safe space with an inactive monolith, make a roll. If you roll at least one elder sign, turn over the monolith to the active side. And then the other action being access the ritual room at the gable window, safe space. If all 4 monoliths are active, make a roll. On 4 or more successes, move one of the portal tokens from the ritual room to the gable window. So that then enables you to gain access. So look at the tokens that come then with this. So we do have a whole raft of more tokens get added to the board for this particular episode. And of course our monoliths and the ritual room and gable room, which we were just discussing in the episode ritual pieces. Okay. Is that in? Don't know if that was in or not. Felt a bit easy, if I'm honest. Feels like it went through. Yeah. Go. Okay. Mythos cards. We have our friend, the Albino Penguin. Each Albino Penguin moves 2 spaces towards the nearest inactive monolith. If all monoliths are active, they move towards you instead, and then summon an Albino Penguin. We have Sand Dwellers. Each Sand Dweller moves 1 space towards you. So 1 Sand Dweller on the nearest inactive monolith. If they're all active, summon one in your space instead, and then summon a Sand Dweller. Reinforcements. Each cultist moves 2 spaces towards you. If there are 3 or more monoliths already active, each investigator loses 2 sanity. Summon cultists. We have Snowstorm. Investigators in the snow world take 1 wound. What? Okay. Investigators in the desert world lose 2 sanity. Did I look at this? Did we look at this? We didn't look at this. Here's the map. Here we go. Haha! Makes more sense now. Wow, okay. So we have a desert world. We have a snow world. And we have, I'm guessing, the main world where we begin. So there are portals to these other worlds. And of course, portals to the gable window, which are locked away when we start the game. Very cool. Okay. And then we've got these various monoliths around the place, but none in our starting area. So we're going to have to get out of here to these to kick that stuff off. And of course, you have the original gates for spawning more baddies to us. There we go. So apologies, folks. I didn't look at that sooner. Makes sense. Okay. We have our cosmic structures. If you're in the snow world, summon 1 Albino Penguin at the nearest monolith. If you're in the desert world, summon 1 Sand Dweller at the nearest monolith. We have a Stormy Penguins. The nearest Albino Penguin moves 2 spaces towards you. If you are in the snow world, it moves directly to your space and summon an Albino Penguin. And then finally, Raging Dwellers. The nearest Sand Dweller moves 2 spaces towards you. If you're in the desert world, it moves directly to your space and summon a Sand Dweller. There we go. And then we'll have a sneak peek at a couple of these discovery cards. Boop. Okay. Bom. What have we got? Got an arcane book. Mystical scribblings blurring the lines between power and madness. If you are in the desert or the snow world, claim the desynchronosis condition. Otherwise, you can claim the arcane book. Oh, that's nasty. So Discoveries are dependent upon where you are. Ooh. Arcane Book. You may count any number of Elder Signs as successes. Otherwise, the desynchronisis, when you claim this card, lose 2 sanity. Wow. Okay. We'll have a look at one more. We have a Cunning Predator. A wild beast that seems quite tame. If you are in the desert world, you may take 1 stress to claim the coyote. If you are in the snow world, you may take 1 stress to claim the Arctic fox. So the Arctic fox on this side, you gain a green when attacking in the snow world, and the coyote on this side, you gain a green when attacking in the desert world, each having 1 life each. So there we go. So sneaky peek, and yeah, that confirmation of you need to be aware which particular world you happen to be in as you are discovering these discoveries. That's definitely an additional challenge for sure. Okay, so that is it, folks, for the episodes that come with this expansion. Let us then dig into the investigators that come with this expansion before we dig into the grand finale, of course, of Great Old One, which comes with this expansion. Just popping those contents back. Oops. Box. Oh, thump. Okay. There's always something that gets left out. What quite happens there. Okay, and then, in fact, before we move on to the investigators, let's have a quick look at these unknowns, as these have obviously been added now to our stack of enemies that we can call upon, as I would refer to them as wandering monsters, of course known as unknown monsters. If I can get into the flipping packaging. Really don't like this. Really don't like this at all. Here we go. I'm in. Ish. Okay. Unknown monsters. So of course each of those that we've seen we will have. So how does it work? So when attacking an attacked or attacked, the investigator must take 2 stress instead of 1 to reroll. So that's what we saw before. And when the Elder One advances, each man of Leng also moves 1 space towards you. Then if you have 2 tokens or more, if you have taken 2 or more stress, the nearest man of Leng moves 1 additional space towards you, and then summon 2 man of Leng at the furthest gate. Wow. Okay. So they'll be similar for these guys. So when the Elder One advances, it moves 1 space towards you, and each investigator in the same space as 1 or more sand dwellers takes 1 wound, unless they discard 1 item, and then summon 1 sand dweller at the nearest gate and 1 at the furthest gate. Oof. When the Elder One advances with the albino penguins, they move 2 spaces towards the investigator with a companion. Otherwise, summon 1 albino penguin. And then summon 1 albino penguin at the nearest gate. We have the Spider of Leng. When the Elder One advances, each Spider of Leng moves 1 space towards you. If you've taken any wounds, they move 2 spaces instead, and then summon a Spider of Leng at the nearest gate. I have the White Polypus thing. When the Elder One advances, the White Polypus thing moves 1 space towards you. Then each monster in its space moves 1 space towards you. If not on the board, summon the white polypus thing in the furthest gate. With the monstrous frog. When the elder one advances, monstrous frog moves one space towards you. Then it moves one additional space towards you for each insanity you have reached. If not on the board, summon the monstrous frog in the farthest gate. And finally, last but not least, the ancient one. When the elder one advances, advance the ancient one space towards you. And then each investigator in its space activates their insanity. If not on the board, summon in the furthest gate. So that's how those unknown monsters will be operating. Let's dig into the investigators then next, and then we'll have a look at the relics that come with this expansion. Okay, so thankfully my green screen has been holding up today. That's good. Of course, no, we're not taped now. I've removed the tape. Good. Okay, so begin with Bruno Vitelli. Sorry, I'm butchering. Apologies. I said I wouldn't, but I did anyway. Okay, so there's his figure. Zoom back in here now. Okay. Just about got that on the screen. So, Bruno Vitelli, Palmero in Sicily. I only ever trusted myself. It's worked out so far. There we go. So he's got his trusty dagger and his bottle in his hand, ready to deal some damage. Bruno was court-martialed in the Great War for excessive brutality against the enemy. Given the savage nature of that conflict in the trenches, it's hard to imagine the kinds of acts he might be responsible for. That said, prison only darkened his reputation, as he was sent to solitary confinement multiple times for a series of accidents that maimed or outright killed other prisoners. It was there that he learned of the cults and the horrors that they worshipped. And it was there that the other investigators found him, atop a pile of cultist bodies. Yep. So let's have a look at his board. So in addition to the standard ones that we've come across before, so we've got brawling, so he gets an extra green for attacking monsters in his own area, and stealth, so where he can runs, he can leave one enemy behind, sneak past them. He also has vicious. When attacking, there are no other investigators in his space. Then he has a free reroll. Okay, so that is Bruno. We have Rosario Guerra, artwork, and she comes from Puebla in Mexico. Apologies, no doubt butchering even the name flipping places. Apologies, folks. My father taught me to fix cars and use guns. A very wise man, my father. Love it. Rosario is straightforward, plain-talking country girl from rural Mexico who knows as much about engines and mechanics as she does firearms. She doesn't have the kind of fancy education that other investigators do, and she isn't necessarily the best shot, but what Rosario does, she does with her whole heart and with guns blazing. That also means fighting eldritch cults. They're no good for the world. They don't belong in it, and when there's something out on the form wreaking havoc, well, some things just need a good killing. Okay. So let's have a look at her board. So we have toughness. So she gets a free reroll when being attacked or rolling for fire. She has marksman, so may attack a target one space away. And then boisterous is her specialist skill. So when attacking before rolling, you may gain an extra green. If you do, after the attack, move the nearest enemy not in your space 2 spaces towards you. Okay, so clearly a magnet for trouble. Okay, so we have then Sylvia Doyle. No, apologies, green screen kicking in. There we go. Okay, so it's a full look at her artwork. Why does she look like a cultist, dude? What's going on? So let's find out, shall we? See if we can glean a bit more information about her from Tullamore Island. Okay. I know all their tricks and all their weapons, and I no longer fear death. Sylvia would argue that while the most ancient horrors like dreaming, it is their cultists who are truly asleep. The fools believe eternal life and salvation lies in waking these alien horrors, a fact she woke up to one terrible night as she helped down an entire farmstead in blood. Honestly, it was the children's eyes that brought her around. She saw herself reflected there, and her hands on her own throat, strangling her life away. She turned her powers on her farmer cult brethren and hasn't stopped since. Okay, so let's have a look at her card. So she has arcane mastery. So any elder signs that she rolls count as successes as she goes up in the ranks, and brawling, so she gets extra green for attacking things in her area. And then her main ability is reformed cultist. There we go. When you kill a cultist, heal 2 stress. Like it. So that is Sylvia. And we have John Fernsby. Looking very dapper. So let's have a look at his text. Find out a bit more about Mr. Fernsby. So, from Cambridge, the United Kingdom, against both men and gods, the principles of war apply. So, John has spent more time in war than peace. He retired a brigadier general and thought he would spend his twilight years in his family estate in England. Sadly, he was wrong. A secretive cult set its sights on his family's land, owing to the river of dark power flowing beneath it. His entire family, from grandchildren up, were killed in the attack, which was thwarted by a team of investigators and his own skill in battle. John now works with the investigators, advising on how best to prosecute their secret war. Okay. So let's have a look at his skills. So he has stealth, which obviously aids him from being assassinated in the farm, and marksman, so he can attack one away. And leadership is his particular skill. So you may use one of your actions each turn to perform an action with another investigator within one space. They control the action. Okay, that's it for John. We have Anika Biko. There's her artwork. Looks quite similar as a small child carrying a book. Have a look at Anika Biko in a bit more detail. Okay, so East London, South Africa. Spells are just math and languages and lifeblood, but mostly math. Arguably one of the most brilliant minds of her generation, Anika's studies into higher mathematics led her to more and more esoteric books, linking mathematics to language and then on to darker, more arcane things. It wasn't long before the knowledge she was studying began to study her. If not for the intervention of some occult investigators, she might well have been lost to space and time. She now puts a vast intellect to work alongside her fellow investigators, translating forbidden languages and learning the deadliest of spells. So she comes with swiftness, being able to maneuver presumably due to her size, as well, of course, arcane mastery as you would expect. But in addition to that, she is an arcane student, which means after any roll, if you rolled at least one elder sign, gain one knowledge token, you may discard a knowledge token to reroll one die. Nice. Okay. And last but not least, we have Gary West. There's artwork. So, stick of dynamite in hand, ready for action. Let's have a look. Gary West then. So, from Asheville, North Carolina. Who'd have thought dynamite would come in so handy outside of the mines? Gary was a miner and a foreman, digging up coal and the other areas of the Appalachian Mountains. One fateful day, his crews dug a little too greedily and too deep and discovered the ruins of an ancient city far below the earth. That night, the ghostly residents of that alien place came to the surface and attacked the mining camp, killing all but Gary. He collapsed the mine, cutting off whatever was keeping these spirits walking around on the surface. He now works with his fellow investigators to stop these things any way he can. He is kitted out with his dynamite for action. So his skills are toughness. He gets a free reroll when being attacked or rolling for fire and swiftness. And then his special unique skill is, of course, dynamite. At the end of your turn, place or move one dynamite token within 2 spaces. You may discard a dynamite as a free action to deal 2 wounds to 1 enemy in that space. Nice. And of course, we've seen these tokens as we've gone through the various episodes. So they're all available and up for grabs. But that's it for our investigators. We're back in the box. Oops. And then we have, before we dig into, of course, the big elder one. Oh, it's stuck to me. What's happening there? Right. Have some new relics. Okay, so each of these will be delivered out to your investigators to make the game slightly easier. And these are relics that give them additional powers and abilities as you start the game, and then as they increase in their insanity, they believe these to be much more powerful relics, and they have more powerful effects on the gameplay. So we have a viol. You may rest in unsafe spaces, and when you rest, you heal 1 additional stress. And at the point of 3 insanity, it becomes the doomed viol. You may rest in unsafe spaces, and when you rest, you heal 1 additional stress, and when you rest, deal 1 wound to all enemies in your space. Nice. We have the wooden pipe relic. You have 2 free rerolls per roll, whilst your sanity is on a token area icon. When you reach 3, it becomes the transcendental herbs. You have 3 free rerolls per roll whilst your sanity is on that marker, or 1 space back. You have the ritual dagger. At the end of your turn, you may deal 2 wounds to an enemy in your space, and it becomes the wicked dagger. At the end of your turn, you may deal 4 wounds to up to 2 enemies in your space. Nice. I have the glowing ring. When making any roll, you may count any number of tentacles as 1 success. They also still count as an insanity. As a spectral ring, however, when making any roll, you may count any number of tentacles as 2 successes, but they do still count as an insanity. We have the old rosary. Once per turn, as a free action, you may heal 1 stress or wound. And there's a blessed chaplet. Once per turn, as a free action, you and each investigator in your space may heal 3 in any combination of stress and wounds. Nice. And finally, the handheld magnifier. You may investigate in unsafe spaces after fighting enemies. Nice. You may heal 1 stress when you draw a discovery card before resolving it. Very nice. And as the paranormal detector, you may investigate in unsafe spaces after fighting enemies, and you may heal all stress when you draw a discovery card before resolving it. Very nice indeed. So yes, very powerful relics there. And as I mentioned, actually, before we dig into Nyarlathotep, let's have a look. There were some additional cards taped to the outside of the box. I'm not entirely sure why there were tapes there rather than inside the box. My assumption being that these were Kickstarter exclusive items, so these will not be available in retail, but they're effectively still an expansion and extension to the box expansion number 4, season 4 box. So we start off with an additional Insanity. So this gives us then the Relian seizures. Whilst there is a wound token on this card, you may only communicate in gestures or gibberish. If you don't, remove the token and take 2 wounds. Okay. So actual gameplay impact. If there is a wound token on this card, remove the token and heal all your stress. Otherwise, place a wound token on this card at the point when it triggers. So that's how the Relic seizures works. We have then 2 additional relics. We have the Ivory Figure. Once per turn, as a free action, lose 1 sanity to gain a bonus on your next action this turn. Run, you move an additional space. Attack, gain a green die. You rest, you heal 1 additional stress or wound. And then with trade, you may trade with investigators within 1 space. And as the Eldritch Image, once per turn, as a free action, lose 1 sanity to gain a bonus on all your actions this turn. Run, move an additional. Attack, gain a green. Rest, heal 1 additional. And then trade, you may trade with investigators 1 space. Okay. And then finally, the last additional relic was the Skull Bracelet. When attacking a monster, you have 2 free rerolls, and it becomes the Nefarious Skulls. When attacking any enemy, you have 2 free rerolls. Of course, when you're up against the Elder One, they're no longer monsters, so they count. Okay, so let us dig in then to it's so big. Nyarlathotep. We'll have a flick on the back. Okay. On the side, you get a glimpse of the contents within. So we have 3 moon beasts. We have the 2 forms of Nyarlathotep, fire tokens, minion cards, of course his own mythos cards, and Elder One cards. And for those who were fortunate enough to acquire the comic book volume 2, of course there is an alternative form to Nyarlathotep in that as well. So that can now be played with Season 4's expansion content. So we have our very familiar fire tokens. We've seen these in lots of these boxes now. And we'll have a look first of all at Nyarlathotep's. What should we look at? We'll look at his mythos cards before we have a look at his stages. If I can get in. Nope. Here we go. Right. Whoop. Okay, so Mythos cards for Nyarlathotep. The Moon Beast. Nyarlathotep and each Moon Beast moves one space towards you and then summon a Moon Beast. Lunar Menace. Nyarlathotep moves one space towards you. The nearest Moon Beast moves two spaces towards you, then summon a Moon Beast. Nefarious Cult. Nyarlathotep and each cultist moves one space towards you, then summon cultists on two of the portals. Nyarlathotep moves two spaces towards you, and any cultist in spaces it leaves follow it, and then summon two cultists. Harbinger of Annihilation. Nyarlathotep moves two spaces towards you, then each investigator in a space with a gate or in the same space as Nyarlathotep catches fire. Ooh. The Haunter of the Dark. If you're in a space with a gate, Nyarlathotep moves directly to your space. Wow. Then, if you are currently in the same space as Nyarlathotep, at the end of your turn, advance Nyarlathotep on the track as if there had been 3 Elder One signs drawn. Dragged into Darkness. If you're in the same space as Nyarlathotep, catch 2 fire. Otherwise, each investigator moves one space towards Nyarlathotep. Enemies do not follow. And then Spreading Madness. Nyarlathotep moves 2 spaces towards you. Any monsters in spaces it leaves follow it. And then place 1 fire token in Nyarlathotep's space. Okay, so that's what you can expect from his Mythos impact of the game. Let's have a look at his stage cards. Oop. Get in. Honestly, folks, the more of these you get through, the more draining it becomes and the more difficult it becomes to open them, how damaging the contents. Right. Get off. Okay, so stage 1. Have a look. Setup. The final form of the Nyarlathotep starts on the summoning track, and the human form starts on the board at the yellow gate. Nyarlathotep can't be attacked or damaged while in human form. If an investigator dies before stage 2, the game is lost. Okay. When any form of Nyarlathotep attacks, for each elder sign, the investigator catches fire. Wow. After the attack, if Nyarlathotep is in its human form, move it to the furthest gate. And when Nyarlathotep advances summon 1 cultist to Nyarlathotep's space, move the nearest Moon Beast 2 spaces towards you and summon 1 Moon Beast on the furthest gate. So right out the gate, he has 3 attack dice, which again is completely unique. We've not seen this before with any other Elder One. Okay, stage 2. When revealed, place Nyarlathotep into your space and transform it to its final form. Place 1 fire token in Nyarlathotep's space and move each cultist 1 space towards Nyarlathotep. And when cultists attack, for each elder sign, the investigator catches fire. At stage 3, when revealed, move Nyarlathotep to the starting space and summon 1 cultist at the starting space. Summon 1 cultist at each gate and place a fire token in each space that has cultist and no fire. At the end of your turn, Nyarlathotep heals 2 for each cultist in its space. Okay, final stage, when revealed, move Nyarlathotep to the red gate, summon 2 cultists at Nyarlathotep's space, and each investigator catches 2 fire. At the end of each turn, if you lose an amount of sanity equal to the number of fire tokens within 1 space of you on the board. sorry, you lose at the end of each turn. You lose an amount of sanity equal to the number of fire tokens within one space of you. Oof, on the board. Ouch. Okay. And he comes with his own entourage, of course, being cultists with 2 hit points each, running 2 green, servants of the crawling chaos, and of course, as we've seen referenced lots, moon beasts. So when attacking or being attacked, each elder sign also counts as an insanity, 4 health each. Okay, let's have a look at these miniatures then. Of course, these will be taped up. So let's remove tape. Dig into the fence. Hey. Okay, I'll have a look at Nyarlathotep in his human form first of all. There he is. I mean, he's certainly quite imposing, even just in his human form. I mean, that's quite an imposing figure. I'm not convinced his legs are very human, though. I think I'd be concerned if my kneecap was going that way around. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Yeah. But yes, like that. Definitely got dodgy knees. Without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, so that is the human form. Oh, there he is. Okay, and then we'll have a look at the beasts first of all. So we get 3 of these monstrosities. Do remind me of Man Thing. Is it Man Thing? Sure it is. In Marvel. So we have 3 of those bad boys, and then we have I'm gonna have to zoom out for this one, the final form of Nyarlathotep. Wow, and that, folks, is definitely impressive. Wow, loving that. That is huge, absolutely huge. Brilliant, fantastic. Wow, what an elder one to bring to the party, eh? Woo. Love it. Get him back in there. There he is. And that, folks, is all of the content comes. Oops. Put those on first. Those. Don't know. There we go. With this very full episode 4. So even though you do get just the one elder one, as you can see, there is definitely a good additional amount of content that you do get with that elder one, along with, of course, the additional monsters you get in here, and your 6 investigators, of course, all the new tiles that are just ready to leap out into action and gameplay. And if you don't have, of course, the Season 3, you do get the additional unknown monsters board. That, my friends, is Cthulhu Death May Die Season 4 expansion. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I've thoroughly enjoyed going through it in great depth and detail. If you have enjoyed it, please hit that like button. If you want to encourage me to continue to make this content, and you do find it of value, please hit that subscribe. It really does encourage me. Otherwise, just to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you back at the table shortly with the final box, the stretch goals that came with this humongous Kickstarter, in addition to Cthulhu Death May Die.